Future Proof is sponsored by Concordia Dental Healthcare, expert care you can trust.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching Future Proof with Sarah Hopwood, and I'm delighted to say I have Pieter in the studio here from Concordia Dental Health. In the first half, Pieter was talking about just the care, I think, that Concordia look after their patients. They really care about them as individuals. And going into the break, he was actually sharing a case study of a client or a patient who really had a phobia about anything in his mouth, even eating implements. So cleaning his teeth had been a big issue for him for years, and so his confidence and self-esteem had been really badly knocked, and at one point he really had no way of going forward. He'd visited dentists who really just felt they couldn't help him at all, and by coming to Pieter gave him a yes, and he even said he went to hospital with him when the guy had went under to actually have the major part of the work done. So thank you so much for staying with me, Pieter. It's so
Pleasure.
Good to have you here, and I know we've talked then about a complex case, but you do all things dental. I mean, I've had all my old fillings taken out, and you've put in white fillings. You have the top-notch X-ray equipment and all sorts. So is there anything in dentistry you don't do, from kind of fillings to bridges to root canal to whatever?
Personally, I do cover quite a wide range of dental treatments, from fillings, crowns, bridges, dentures. Sort of very early on in my career, I really felt the need that I wanted to do more surgical stuff. So I've been doing dental implants and bone rebuilding and reconstruction since 2006, and I also was really interested in orthodontics. So at the same time I also started to learn and practice orthodontics, and about 50% of my practice now these days is orthodontic treatment, especially working with adults, but also children with underdeveloped jaws and crooked teeth.
And we're going to come back to that in a minute, because Myobrace is huge. But the other thing too is you do the cosmetic side, so you do the teeth whitening, you do what we call the Hollywood smile,
absolutely.
And it's wonderful watching people go out. It's like they're floating on a cloud when they leave. But I love the work that you do with kids. Can you say a bit more about that, because that's non-invasive treatment, isn't it? It's just amazing.
The real issue we've identified in children, and the whole concept around them developing crooked teeth, and the research that's been done over the last 30 years points direct to children are not developing correctly, physical and neurological, due to mouth breathing. And muscle dysfunction. So poor muscle function, especially from the tongue, the lips and the cheeks. If they have open mouth posture and they're mouth breathers, that will have a huge effect on their growth and development. So when we look at what is the real cause of crooked teeth and underdeveloped jaw, it's the muscles of the face and the mouth that is not functioning correctly. For very, very, and that has an adverse effect on how they grow.
Yes, and I know that I think it was through treating people with snoring to try and open up the back of the throat, because the noise of a snore comes from the back of the throat, not the nose. They gave them not implants but mouth things.
Well, it's a mouth appliance to advance the lower jaw.
And then they realised that actually by treating the people who were snoring, they realised their teeth were straightening at the same time.
That's true,
and so their Myobrace was born, and you've opened it because you've relocated in Hove.
We have relocation. We've opened up a dedicated children's clinic to help children.
Road, opposite First Avenue. It's all on Church Road.
Yeah, on the corner of Selborne and Church Road.
Yeah.
And the clinic is dedicated to help children, especially from the ages from 6 to 12. Because that's when they show their most growth, and that's when you can intervene. You have the saying, bend the tree while it's young.
Yes.
And a lot of orthodontics we do as at the age of 13. But by that stage, the child's skull is already developed 95%.
What you don't know is I actually feel quite cross about something, and that is that there's somebody that I love very dearly, and you say yourself, Myobrace has been around for 30 years, and this person had braces and actually had surgery in their mouth and the rest of it. And I was so cross because I was thinking, I've looked up Myobrace and it was known about why didn't someone tell us about Myobrace? Because the trauma that happened back then and now sorting out the problem, what have you now, some of that could have been avoided. Can you tell us the essence of Myobrace? So if I gave it in a strap line, it's straightening teeth the natural way. What do we mean by that?
So Myobrace is myofunctional therapy, which is designed in helping the muscles of the mouth, the tongue, the lips, the cheeks to function correctly, but also more importantly for the person to breathe correctly, to do nasal breathing. So we have this classic repetition with the children when we say lips together, tongue on the roof of the mouth, and breathe through your nose. And that's the normal status. So when your mouth is at rest, that is what we want. Lips together, tongue in the roof of the mouth, and breathe through your nose. And when we see children coming in and I ask them to breathe, immediately they breathe. They breathe with their chest, they breathe with their shoulders, where you need to breathe with your tummy and your diaphragm. So the concept is that the program, which is a 24-month program with activities and wearing appliance. The appliance is not a magic appliance. And then we follow posture and breathing, swallowing exercises, muscle activity exercises, strengthening tongue, posture, tongue control. So it's quite an intense program. But to come back to your question about why have you not known about this before, this is just how the world works. I mean, this research has been done for 30 years in Australia. It's the US, America has adapted Myobrace. It's growing fast in the Netherlands, Germany, and other European countries. We only have a very handful of people in the UK who's adapted this treatment philosophy, and the more people, clinicians who will adapt it and apply it in practice, the more it will get known and eventually it will become a standard. So I think we're pretty early in UK terms to
and you're on the crest of the wave because you've actually been doing it for a while. Even though you've just opened the designated surgery, you've been doing it a while, so you've actually got a trail behind you. And I have interviewed kids and their parents who are using the Myobrace, and there was one particular child who, when I booked her the month before, we got in the diary out and said, right, next month we'll do a video interview. Fine. When I walked towards her the next month, I visibly saw her jaw had changed. She'd been complaining of chronic headaches, jaw ache, and she just said the pain's gone. And can you say, we've literally got a couple of minutes, I've heard you say that other problems, from from backache, shoulder ache and what have you, often it can stem from the jaw and the skeletal structure. Can you just say a bit more? Because I think you're absolutely right. So I really think other people need to hear it. Why could backache be caused by?
So a lot of other skeletal problems. So when you speak to chiropractors and osteopaths, we have the analogy that we use that the problem is an ascending problem. It either starts from the ankles, the calves, and it's a problem that affects the skeletal structure rising, or when people have bite problems that causes temporomandibular joint or TMJ dysfunction, that will have an effect on the skeletal structure. Now, how it really works is that if you've got crooked teeth and underdeveloped jaws, you're going to have an incorrect bite, or you're going to have a malocclusion. Once you have a malocclusion, the muscles of the jaw can go into long-term spasm because it builds up lactic acid, people clenching, people grinding. Eventually they can develop a TMJ dysfunction. Once they have a TMJ dysfunction, then what's going on, this is the area of the highest proprioception in the human body, giving you balance, create your body and your environment. But when you have pressure in the joints, it has an effect on the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay,
this short. Is going heavy, but
so very technical.
Yeah.
But what happens is with a dysfunction here, the smaller muscles in the neck will get affected, which is around your C1, C2. When you get a twist in C2, it will affect the larger muscles in the neck. When that's affected, your shoulders will pivot, and there we go.
And then it goes
and then
on
the
and on
spine,
and on.
and then the body. Because what happens is your body is genetically programmed to self-repair.
Yes. We literally only have a few minutes. I mean, do contact Pieter. He does do a free meet and greet. If it's not a diagnostic, but you're welcome to meet him. And also, we did have an interview with a sleep apnea specialist, and we asked him the question, how many of your patients are mouth breathers? And it was over 90%. So, you know, if you suffer from sleep apnea, you never know. You might actually need to see a dentist as well as your specialist. Pieter, it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me. And as I say, Concordia Dental Health, I really couldn't recommend you higher. Fantastic dentist. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.